down here, and we are going to look at some White Zombie in this one. This is Electric Head Part 2, the Ecstasy. And let's get after the tuning. This one is tuned down a half step. All the songs on this album are either tuned down a half step or tuned down a step and a half, and then maybe they'll do drop D or not. Alright, so this one, every string down a half step. We are in the key of F sharp minor to start with. So let's get after this main riff. And kind of the way that this is played is pretty interesting. You're doing octave shapes on the 6th and 4th strings. And let's go over the frets that we're going to be using first. So we're going to do the 2nd fret, and I'm just going to call up the note that the first finger is playing. So I like to do my octaves with first finger and pinky. You can do it with the 3rd finger, whatever you want to do. So 2nd fret would give you F sharp. Then we're going to do the 5th fret, 7th fret, and 8th fret. So what you're going to do at the beginning of the riff is pick down once through the octave and then once up through the octave. And then the rest of the riff is played with upstrokes, and you're just sliding to the next octave shape. So I'll do this real slowly. So the second time you're going back to the 1st fret for an F octave instead of all the way up to C. So again, slowly. So the last time when we transition into the next riff, type deal, you are going to strum the F just twice and not slide up into the next chord. So that's a little slight difference there. So I'll play that last time. Alright, so later on in the song, not during the intro, but when this riff is played as like an interlude in the middle of the song, it does get played up in octave as well. So same type of deal, but you're playing on the 5th and 3rd strings. So the fret numbers there would be starting with the 1st fret at 9, 12, 14, 15, and then this version. So all together you'd have. Alright, so pretty simple. Alright, so let's check out the next riff that happens between the main riff and the verse riff. It's real simple. We just have. So it's a 1-bar thing that's repeated a couple of times. And all we're doing is palm muting the low E string twice with 8th notes, both downstrokes. And then what we're doing is it's like a little G minor shape. So we're playing on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, and we're doing 5, 3, 3. So you're doing a quick down up strum there, 16th to a dotted 8th. And so what this gives you overall is like an E minor 7 flat 5 type sound. Or like a half diminished chord thing. Same name for that chord, or different name for the same chord. Alright, so let's check out the verse riff. This is the stripped down core, violate and paralyze part that Rob Zombie's singing. And this sounds like this. So it's a 2-bar phrase, so I'll play it slowly now. So that's it. So just playing some open E palm muted stuff with the G5 on your 3rd and 5th frets, so it's just a 2-string power chord. Now the last time that the riff is played before we go to the next part, the last 3 notes of the figure aren't palm muted and the power chord is taken away and it's just played as a G note. So those 2 bars sound like this, slowly. Alright, so just a little variation. So the next part now sounds like this. Alright, so what we're doing here is we're playing, starting with an F sharp octave, and then we're going to take the lowest note down a half step at a time. So that's the idea. So it's going down to an F and then to an E, and this note isn't changing. So, and then at the end of the second measure of this riff, we have. So you're muting at the first fret, just the 3 lowest strings, and you know, eighth notes are done in downstrokes. When you have the 16th notes in there, do some alternating. So up it's the tempo again. All right, the other guitar is doing the same thing, just up an octave. So that's just starting the, you know, at the 9th fret, and you're on the 5th and 3rd strings, doing the exact same thing, just up an octave here, and then coming back and doing the type thing that the other guitar is doing. Now, when Rob Zombie starts doing the electric head, in your head, in you part, what he does is he turns on a flanger, and you're just playing the muted stuff. So pretty much all he's doing is playing full measures of eighth notes with mutes, like. So the change in pitch or perceived change in pitch is due to the flanger kind of like sweeping through the different frequencies. All right, so the muted part is played just with eighth notes the first 2 times. The 3rd time this riff comes around, he does. So adding 2 16th notes at the end of the measures to give that 3rd chorus a little variety. All right, so after the first chorus, or actually it's the second chorus, we're going to do this interlude riff that sounds like this. So we're just starting with an F sharp octave, and then the higher note is staying the same, and then the lower note is going up a half step on the 5th string. So that's 9, 10, and 11 on those strings. Okay, so then after that happens 4 times, the main riff comes back in, and this is where the main riff is doubled up an octave. All right, so then the next part is where they would have had the part, but instead there's a synthesizer type part that's doing this type figure with just octaves. I mean, you wouldn't want to cover this on guitar, probably. If you're actually going to cover it, maybe do it on bass. Anyways, so that goes in part of the before the verse comes back in. This is where he's, you know, the sample is doing the watch your mouth, man, I'll say any damn thing I want, whatever. Alright, so yeah, that takes care of all the riffs to this one except for the ending to the song. So let's check out what happens at the end. Alright, so the ending, we have 2 guitars that are doing the same thing in octaves apart. So let's check that out, guys. So what we're doing, we're just strumming 16th notes in octaves. And so we're doing an F sharp for a full measure. So 1st fret, 4th fret. And then we're going up to an A at the 5th fret. Coming down to a G sharp for a measure. And then a G for a measure. One of the other guitars is doing the same thing. And it's just doing it up an octave. Alright, so pretty easy. Now, what the other guitar, starting off we just have 3 guitars. And what it's doing is this kind of pattern with the wah, and it's just easier to show you with my hands since I'm only working with one camera here. So you're getting this pattern for a measure, and you're just playing it with quarter notes. But you get this wow, 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 wow kind of sound. And then, so it's just doing the same figure in quarter notes. Alright, so then after this kind of thing repeats, we're going to move into this part where you're still doing the low octaves and high octaves, the type deal, but now our wah guitar is going to do something different. It's so that's the figure. So you're just doing 16th notes, and you're doing this is an F sharp octave on your first and third strings. And same wah pattern. The other guitar here is doing. So like kind of doing like a different rhythmic variation on what we were doing with the octaves, but you know. Leaving an 8th note rest after 2 strums at 16th notes. Alright, so that happens once, and then at the end of the figure, what happens is the guitar that's doing the instead of going to a G and then starting the riff again, we're going to go up to a B note, and then we're going to start transitioning into the different final ending part. Alright, so let's check out the final ending part. So now what we're doing is playing the same kind of figure, except for we're starting with a C sharp note. So this is played on your 4th and 2nd strings. This is starting at the 11th fret with the first finger, going up to the 14th fret, 13th, and 12th. So the higher F sharp octave part, that also starts to change. Instead of playing static F sharp octaves, you're going to get this. Alright, so just starting up at the 11, going to the 14, 13, 12, kind of like the other riffs have been doing. So the cool thing about this is you get this like you're between the two guitar parts, you're getting the sound of power chords getting played. So if you're the only guitarist in the band and you're covering this live or something, you might just want to play it like that and combine the two parts together, and it'll sound really cool. Alright, so that does it for Electric Head Part 2, the Ecstasy. I'm planning on doing a lot more White Zombie, so I hope you guys are fans of that. So please subscribe and email me if you'd like my transcription of this song, and I'll see you guys around. Alright, thanks a lot.